How do we end violence in our communities, you ask? I got a one-word answer. Peaceoholics. What's a peaceoholic, you say? It's simple. People addicted to peace. Well, I had the opportunity to sit down with one of the two-man team that helped found this organization in 1997 in Washington, D.C. They incorporated in 2004, and in 2010, they're one of the district's most effective community members, reducing not just the violence of young people, but of any people. I had the opportunity to sit down with Jauhar Abraham and talk to him about why they started and what makes them so effective at the work that they do now in D.C. and in many cases all over the country.
Peaceoholics got started during the Million Man March. We took the call of Minister Farrakhan serious. Myself and the co-founder, Ronald Moulton, we took the call serious. We went around in various communities around the country, different colleges, organizing young people, young men in particular, calling them to the march, calling them back to be responsible so we could take back our communities.
But you and I both know, I mean, getting support from the mayor, getting recognized by the paper, doesn't mean that you're effective with kids on the street.
Absolutely.
And so what made you all different from the City Youth Commission or so-and-so's church youth ministry to be effective?
I think the first thing is we come from the problem. We were part of the problem, myself and the co-founder. Actually, we were rivals. We didn't get along. We were beefing. And it took older gentlemen to bring us together, to talk to us about the impact that our negative behavior was having with young people in the city. And if we agreed to put our differences aside, the impact it could have in a positive way. So the kinds of things that the government was trying to do, we just do naturally. So, and we had been working for several years before we ever even made it to the headlines, just as guys in the community doing what needed to be done. If young guys having a difference of opinion, that don't necessarily mean you got to shoot each other. So we provide them with a table that they can come to and discuss their differences. And we've been doing that, several years, at least, 10 or 12 years before we ever even came on the radar of the government. Okay, the first thing I think is we've been able to take 160 children, better maybe 163 to be exact, children out of gangs and crews and neighborhoods and get them in college. So that's been one of the greatest things that we've accomplished is our college program. The second thing is we started a re-entry movement with youth in D.C., helping the government understand that re-entry starts at the point of entry, not once a youth gets released from a detention center, then trying to put him with a service provider, but we had to actually fight with the government so that we can meet with the youth several months before they get released from juvenile detention, so that we have a relationship, so that when they get out they trust us and they're not running, we're not running all over chasing them. That's been very important. The third thing, I think we created a school program, a safe passage with schools, where the schools that we work in receive less police calls, less children get locked up, less children get suspended, and the truancy numbers are down. And that's directly impacted by the outreach work that Peaceoholics do with our model called the Rebuild the Village model that we developed, where in that Rebuild the Village model, we work in the schools, the communities, and in the institutions. Well, the first thing we teach young people we had to learn is that as taxpayers, as citizens, the police work for us. So we shouldn't be afraid of the police. And I tell young guys all the time, the biggest challenge for me when I had a problem and I couldn't stand police and I hated police, it was because I was a criminal. I was always doing stuff I had no business doing. So then I don't have no authority to manage a relationship with the police, because obviously we doing two different things. Now, as a citizen, as a person who no longer participates in breaking the law, I have the authority to have a relationship with the police and manage our relationship. And that's the difference that I think that a lot of people in our community the distrust and the the discomfort that we feel in working with the police department comes from us, participating in criminal activity. But once you free yourself of that, if the police are wrong, then you become the authority to make sure whatever they're doing is investigated and they get taken off the street. So that's the power in being a citizenship and realizing citizenship. I think you start with 1 or 2 situations, 1 or 2 children. You don't overload yourself. You start with 1 or 2, and then you have to have something to give them. It's not just enough to have the compassion and the heart to want to do it. Once you get them, you have to make sure you empower yourself with some knowledge. And with the internet out here, with so many groups doing wonderful things around the country, you have to develop a formula that you would use. You'll have to have an ideology about what it is that you want to do, and then you have to set a blueprint. How are we going to do this? How are we going to get from A to Z? And you do the right things for the right reasons, you get the right outcomes, and then, like I was taught, the right outcomes eventually will generate income. Well, the first thing is it make you become a practitioner of, if you telling people nonviolence is a serious thing, Jeff. I remember growing up, I always said that I would have been with Malcolm X if I was in the 60s, because, if you slap me, I'm going to slap you back. But I had the fortunate...
which Malcolm
never did, right. But I was so fortunate to meet some real brothers, man, who really put the demonstration down in the 60s and taught me how nonviolence, or challenged me to study the science of nonviolence.
Who were some of those people?
Reverend Boone, Reverend Bevel, Pastor Gwen Webb down in Birmingham, Alabama. And they helped me understand that, this is a whole intellectual thing. Like, nothing is greater than the power of love. You know what I'm saying? And so, for me, a guy who always has been an angry guy most of my life, this has really challenged me, because people have taken shots at me, people say stuff about me, people do things to me that's not true. Now I have thousands of young people, since I have a platform, I have thousands of young people that watch how I respond. So I have to be careful what I say, how I say it, and then what I physically do, in terms of responding to some of this. And then in 2010, my focus is taking the good work that we've discovered, that we've been able to do in DC. This year, we're reporting 31% decrease in juveniles involved in homicides. We have a 40% decrease in our murder rate overall. And MPD, the police department, will take credit for it, but really, we on the phone, several times during the week, helping mediate conflicts, stuff that we know might take place. We're able to help get security or police there to make sure nothing go on until we have an opportunity to meet with the groups and negotiate a truce. So we spend a lot of time in the jail, working, volunteering, helping guys come to reason about things that they feel like somebody's life could potentially be taken for. So we take a lot of pride in knowing that our work is responsible for help saving lives. So I'll be on the ground continuing to work and traveling to some different cities, showing them what we've done to make it popular for former gang and crew members now to become college students. We would encourage everybody to join our ministry. In fact, when people come here, we have some 70 staff and consultants. We tell people that this is not a job. We can refer them to the government. This is a ministry. And so we can be located at www.peaceoholics, that's PEACEOHOLICS.org. You can look us up, find out any information on us. You can Google us, or you can reach us at 202-562-1971. And we are a nonprofit. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization.
You've seen what the Peaceoholics are doing. Now what are you going to do? Make sure you support them and other organizations and keep supporting TJMS.